time to fuel your business success. Welcome to Harmonious at Lunch. We're bringing you bite-sized advice and expert conversations to drive clarity and growth 5 days a week. Make sure you join our Facebook group at humanopt.com/lunch, where listeners like you and our guests hang out so we can find harmony in business together. If you're building a business, you're in the right place. Let's dive in.
Welcome back into some more bite-sized business advice. In today's episode, we're talking about decoding your mind. We're going to shift your mindset, help you achieve your goals and be more successful. That sounds fascinating. I'm not going to lie. I'm right here with you listening to the show. I have a very special guest, Dr. Alan Salas. Welcome to the show, and thank you for being here.
Hi, Brandon. Thank you so much for having me. And let's do this. That's a very exciting topic, I think, for lots of people.
Yeah, anytime you say decoding the mind, I'm at the edge of my seat. So why don't you tell both me and the listeners, because I have no idea where we're going with this episode. What do you mean by decoding the mind, and is that scientific? Is it a belief system? Like where do we start with this?
Well, first of all, you have to understand that we all have been programmed. Brandon, you have been programmed. I have been programmed. Everybody listening to that program has been programmed, right? And so it usually happens like around age 0 to 7 years old, right? And we've got some different brain waves, like sponges. And so what we see outside, we think it's the truth. And so we assume things, and when you assume things 2 or 3 times, it becomes a program. And that program goes into our subconscious mind, which is basically our hidden mind, right? That mysterious mind that store everything, it's like a big data, like a supercomputer, storing everything that you have been doing in your life from age 0 to now. And this program, you've got 2 kind of program. You've got a program that are serving us, right? It's kind of, when you've got a day that, man, you accomplish so many things, like your mind is working for you instead of working against you. That's called, those programs are called empowering belief, right? And after we've got, of course, the other program that are not serving you any longer. And it's kind of like your mind is working against you, and you say, man, it's counterproductive what I'm doing. I should stay in bed, and wait for another day, right? And so those are called limiting belief. And those limiting beliefs are coming from unresolved issue that we had in the past, right? It can be some trauma that we had, and it can be at any age, right? It can be for example, in case of PTSD, right? Post-traumatic stress syndrome, right? Or disorder. It's definitely something that's coming from the past and it's not resolved yet. And those limiting beliefs definitely impacting your present, but also shaping your future. So they are basically, like if you ask me who's in control of your life, I say you think that your conscious mind, right, which is basically only 5 or 10% of your mind, right, compared to the subconscious mind, which is 90 to 95% of your mind. And you think you're in control. You think that, because you're aware of your thought, your emotion, your behavior, and your action, right? You think you're in control. Actually, you're not. You have been programmed, and those programs running behind the scene in the subconscious mind, and especially the limiting belief, are controlling you. Now, okay, everybody's going to say, man, what? That's a mess, right? I'm not even in control of my life. Okay, here's the good news. If you have been programmed, the good news, you can be reprogrammed. And that's what the mind clearing is about.
I love it. So it's the matrix, right? We're all plugged in the matrix to some degree. We're all operating on whatever programming we've subscribed to, and it's about the conscious unsubscribing and reprogramming, to use your words, which I love that philosophy, and I think that's so important in growing a successful business, because we're not programmed to run successful businesses. We're actually programmed to be great employees. In most parts of the world, and definitely in this country, in America. So let's talk about that, because we have entrepreneurs and business owners listening to the show, and some of them, like myself, have done personal growth and they've explored reprogramming. Others have not, and others are somewhere in between. So where do we start based on the broad spectrum here? Where do we start with understanding what our programming is and then rewiring it for success?
Yeah, just to add over a very good comment you made, I will add a little bit, and I will say that we are definitely conceived to succeed, but programmed to fail. So it means it's not even at birth, it's at conception. We've got everything. We are it, right, man? We are it. We can be the businessman that we want. We can be the husband or wife that you want, right? We are it. But those programming are getting into the way, right? And so if we compare the mind as a computer, right? Let's see, since we are into that analogy, let's do that. So your brain will be your hard drive, right? The software will be the subconscious mind. The output of your software will be your conscious mind, right? And after the behavior will be reflected on your screen of life, right? So let's see, if I've got a program, like let's see, my dad told me I'm a loser. So visualize a triangle here, and inside the triangle, you've got I'm a loser. So I'm on top of a triangle, I'm going to think I'm a loser. On the right side of a triangle, I'm going to feel I'm a loser, like I'm a loser. And on the left side of the base of a triangle, I'm going to behave like a loser. Therefore, I'm going to have loser result. If I've got a loser result, I'm going to feel, man, I'm really, I'm going to feel even more than I'm a loser. I'm going to think, man, I knew I was a loser, but such a loser. So I call that the subconscious stress loop. And we've got a ton of program like that, that coming from our past, right? And are shaping our present and molding our future. And so what you can do, like you treat any program, regular program in your computer, you don't need to be a specialist in business actually to do that. You don't need to be a specialist in relationship, or in prosperity or in health, because all those areas can be touched by the mind, what we call the mind-body connection, and definitely can impact your health, your relationship, and your prosperity. You just need to know how to click, right? Like you do, like when you've got a program that's not serving you in your computer, what you're going to do, you're going to click delete. Step number one of the mind clearing process, right? And after, you're going to download a program that is serve you better, right? And so that you're going to click on download, right? That's a step number 2, right? And step number 3, you want to make sure that, remember the screen of life, you want to make sure that you get the outcome, that you create that in the physical, in your physical life, right? So those are the 3 steps of the mind clearing system. Number 1, get rid of what you don't want. Number 2, replace it. You don't have to find out what it is. You download it, you download what you want. And number 3, you want to make sure that you want the outcome that you wanted, right? So you delete, download, and create. Or for goal setting, right? You delete the blocks, right? Because the limiting belief are subconscious block too. So you delete your blocks, right? You download what you want, and number 3, you achieve your goal, what you want. That's that simple. It's not complicated when you speak the same language, because you see, Brandon, in my field, they don't speak the same language but the subconscious mind, right? And so if you don't speak the same language, like if I speak French to you, right, which, I was born in France, right? We're going to have problem to understand each other if you don't speak French, right? And so that's the same thing, because they told you about limiting belief, you need to journal, you need to do a ton of affirmation and really have a iron will, to just go through that and hope for the best. I say, no, when you speak the same language that, that the subconscious mind, it's not a problem. You just give some, you tell them, the subconscious mind, to get what you want, instead of being controlling by the subconscious mind. The subconscious mind become your server, right? When you were talking about the matrix, I totally agree with you, but the misunderstanding with the matrix, it's our own matrix, right? Because it's caused by our own subconscious mind blocks that we acquire in the past. And the good news, we can delete, download what we want, and definitely create the life and the entrepreneurship that we have, that it's our birthright to get, and that we always have dreamed of.
I love this. Please don't speak any more French, because I don't know any. That's the only thing I know. So we will be communicating a different language. But I love this analogy with the computer, because it's so easy to visualize. So I appreciate that. And let's explore this a little bit, because a lot of us, I think, we've installed software that's definitely full of viruses and we don't have the antivirus software installed yet.
Exactly.
So that's the limiting beliefs and cleaning them out, deleting it, which I fully understand. I'm curious when, for someone watching or listening, let's take the screen, right? That's all we can see. We don't know. We see the output, but we don't know where the input is coming from. We don't know if it's a belief, if it's a software program, and where actually that is stored on our computer. How do we go about looking at that screen and saying, I know this is wrong, or I know I don't want this. I need to find the root cause and delete it. How do you go through that process in reality, in practice?
Well, actually, you don't have to identify your limiting belief. And that's another thing that they tell you, because, since your conscious mind, which is what you're aware of, right, which is basically your personality, your self-identity, right, how you perceive your reality, it's only 5 or 10% of your mind, right? And so the subconscious mind is 90 to 95% of your mind. So how do you even hope to crack the code using 5 or 10% of your mind to crack 90 to 95% of your mind? Man, the odds, if you know about stats, right? I mean, that's pretty obvious that the odds are not in your favor. So here's the things you don't have to identify. You just say, okay, this I don't like. This is the things, for example, a repetitive pattern that is self-sabotaging, for example. So you acknowledge that, right? But you don't have to find out what has been the root cause. And that helps so much. What you do, because now the question comes, what is the language of a subconscious mind? Well, your subconscious mind actually communicates to you, right? Via dream. When you remember a dream, what do you remember, Brandon, about dream? You remember there's always a picture or a movie associated with that. I never had anybody tell me, oh, I remember only the smell of my dream. It doesn't even make any sense. So the way we communicate, the subconscious mind communicate with us is via picture. So I will ask you, give me a goal that you want to reach, for example.
A goal that I want to reach, let's reach the top 1% of all business podcasts. That seems like a great fitting goal for right now.
So you are where you are. That's point A. Point B is where you want to get, right? So we want to make sure there's no program or viruses, like you say, that are in the way, right? You want to make sure that there's no limiting belief in between A and B where you want to be, right? So I will tell you the first thing that we do. I will tell you, okay, Brandon, I want you to visualize yourself struggling to get the 1%. You cannot get it. That's going to be your limiting belief. That's going to be the program we want to make sure is not there, right? And so I will ask you to visualize yourself doing it. And I created a program, literally a program that I will customize to you specifically to you. And you're gonna do the work. You're gonna use your own ability to transform yourself, right? And so what you're gonna do, you're gonna send that program. I'm just here to guide you. And I give you the technology to send that program to you in that picture to delete that picture, right? And after, when this is done, you will feel already, like I will ask you, how do you feel about getting 1%? Let's see, you tell me, and that's probably not you, but you tell me, oh, maybe a 9 over 10, I cannot do it, right? After the first deletion, you will feel probably 4 or 5, right? Now I feel better about, doing that stuff and be able to do it. And after I will tell you, okay, Brandon, what you need to do, you need to visualize your ideal outcome, right? You there, you've got 1%, that's it, you made it, right? And so that picture is going to be your empowering belief. It's what you want, your ideal outcome. And we're going to download that into the subconscious mind to replace that program that we don't want, right? That is counterproductive, that subconscious block that has been deleting, right? And so we'll customize that program, that download program that I created, right? And you're going to send it to you in that picture, right? And after number 3, you want to make sure, as you know, if you start a business and you say, oh, I think I'm going to start a business, I feel good about it, but if you don't take any action, that's a fantasy. It never is going to happen, right? And so number 3, you want to make sure that you manifest that into your life, and you take, the first step, right? And so that's how we do the first phase, just to make sure we clear as much as possible. Our mind is working for you, Brandon, instead of against you. And after the step number 2 is very important. I will ask you, okay, that will be one session of 1 hour. That's it, only one session. And after, I will ask you, Brandon, I want you to take, for the next session, to think about one step that you can take that within a week, you can see the result, right? You can know if it has been working for you. So what will be your first step? Give me an example.
Oof. I haven't thought about it because that's not really
okay.
a goal
I can
of
do
mine.
that for you. I can do that for
Please,
you. I will
give me
say
a step.
basically, okay.
Yeah, go ahead. Do you have any recommendations? I could probably reach out to
yes, that's what I want to say. Make some phone call.
Yeah.
You're going to make some phone call of like successful 1% business people who have been able to achieve it, right? So let's pretend you make 10 phone calls, right? And there's only 2 that answer, and 1 will brush you off, and 1 was nice to you. So everything that while taking that step, everything that you have been doing, you don't like the outcome, we're going to reprogram that. They are called resistance. It's kind of like bump on the road, right? But they are still part of your limiting, right? They are limiting you. So we're going to clear that. We're going to clear the way like that. What's going to happen? You're going to have more clarity, and after more focus and certainty. Because, what prevents people to achieve goal is become too hard and they give up, right? Because their thought, their emotion, their behavior and action are not aligned. You are unstoppable when your thought, your emotion, and your behavior are aligned. For example, if I say, I'm going to start a diet. So I'm thinking I'm going to start a diet. But after I've got a feeling that comes to me that say, last time I did a diet, actually I lost weight, but I gained back and more. So do you think that, my goal is going to be reached? More than likely not, because my emotions are not aligned with my thought, right? And so we'll do mind clearing on the emotion. We bring that into alignment like that. My empowering belief, my thought, my emotion, my behavior, and my action are all aligned. Meaning I've got positive thought because I've got empowering belief now. I've got positive thought, supportive emotion, desirable behavior, and productive and inspired action. See, that's how we get things done. So we basically bringing the subconscious mind, the power of the subconscious mind, unleashing that in order for you to get the goal. And so after what happened, because you've got more clarity, focus, and certainty, you make course correct, the way you're going to do it. Because when we start to set up a goal, we have a preconceived idea how to do this, right? But when our level of being getting higher, we've got access to different information, better information, maybe some shortcut that we didn't have access before, right? And so can you imagine how powerful this is? It's kind of raise our level of intellect, our level of consciousness, our level of vibration. Like that, we can resonate with knowledge that are better suited to what we want to achieve. And after, guess what? You repeat that step by step. So like that, we can reach our goal much faster, get rid of all the self-doubt in the way, all the fogginess, all the things that are unclear to us. They are all resistance that are preventing us to reach that goal. And so can you see the power of, I call that the quantum loop process?
Yeah. And I like it too, because I've heard the other gurus. I'm not calling you a guru, but because I actually think that's a derogatory term. I've heard the other gurus say, you have to uncover the source of the belief, the source of the programming, if you will, and that's you have to eliminate. And this is compelling because you're saying no, you just need to kind of override it.
It's very hard.
It's so much easier.
It's very hard. Yes.
And it's a lot less painful. I never understood that. Like, let's relive all those emotions. That sounds awful. I really don't want to do that right now.
You don't have
Dr.
to.
Allen, go ahead. Go ahead.
I just want to tell you that it's always a work in progress in a way, because I'm very creative and intuitive, right? And so, for example, last week, I got some new information. I call that my insight, right? And now the way you remember when I told you step number 2 that you visualize your outcome, now the way it is, it's so vivid that it's kind of like, people who carry GoPro where they go, and it's kind of having a GoPro and you are there, You really are there feeling it, being it, I don't know how to describe it. But the good news about it, you don't have to make any effort about it. It just comes naturally. It's your subconscious mind talking to you, right? And like that, you can say, hey, buddy, that's what I want now. Can you do that for me? Thank you.
Yeah, this is powerful. Fascinating conversation. Really, really interesting topic. And we have to wrap this up. But if the listener wants to go deeper, or wants to just learn more about you, where's the best place to reach out and find out more about what you have going on?
Sure, Brandon. So the best way is my website, right? TheMindClearing.com. There's a ton of information there because doctor, means teacher. And so for me, it's very important to give lots of information. And again, we can talk about that forever, right? I mean, there's so many things that can be said about that. But, true knowledge is about experiencing things. So I want you, if this resonates with you and you say, well, I'm going to give it a shot. Well, what I'm going to tell you, whatever you come for, it can be a health problem, it can be a goal and success, issue, it can be anything. What you can do is try it. So you'll start at 9 over 10 or something that is bothering you, and I promise at the end of the session will be 0. If it comes back, it's more resistance to be treated. I knew I was really under something when I was able to treat physical pain. In 2 visits, 70 to 80% of the people who have normal pain, and nobody in the field can do that, but I know of, right? So I say, okay, now I'm really under something, right? And so if you want to reach your goal, right, what you can do, you just give it a shot. You will have a session with me. I will give you 20% because of Brandon podcast. You mentioned that. You go to themindclearing.com, click on contact. There's a form that will appear, and you tell me, okay, I want to get a treatment. And I've heard about you, blah, blah, blah. And you will get 20% off. You will take an hour of your time. And like that, you will totally, fully understand what I'm talking about, right? That's number one, because this is designed for entrepreneur, obviously, right? For the goal and success. But it's also designed for coaches, and health professional, people who want to go deeper and have more transformating results, not only for themselves, because the good news, you can reprogram yourself. That's what I've been doing all along, reprogramming myself. But also you can help others, to go through the process. So I teach that process. That's very important for me. This needs to be spread out. It has to be. And that's my dedication until my last breath. No retirement for me. Even the concept of retirement is like a foreign concept for me. Anyway, you just have to go for it and spread it out. And so if you want to learn it for yourself, or if you want to learn it, to help other people, there's 3 programs, the Mind Clearing Basic, right? So it's basically learning the command and how to adapt and all that. And after you've got for people who are interested about health, it's like the body clearing to get rid of the pain, symptoms, and inflammation. And for people who are more business oriented, right? But not only because the goal, it doesn't have to be business specific. You can have a goal of having a relationship, right? A harmonious relationship with somebody. But anyway, so if you are into goal and success clearing, right? This is a different program. So if you want to learn the free program altogether, I give you 50% discount on it because of Brandon. So there's one more thing I want to say, just take action. What you have to lose, really. Just take action, see if it works for you. I think the worst things that people can do, they say, oh, I'm going to do that, and they don't do it. Really, I think it's just a waste. And I tell you, you will experience result right away in the fact that you will feel much better. You will have less doubt and things like that. And after we can take action and do and go through the process that I described for the goal setting.
Amazing. Dr. Allen, thank you so much for being here. For those of you listening, watching, wherever you are, the links are down below in the show notes and description. And I agree. Go take action. If this resonated with you, definitely go take action. But after every single episode, I always like to say, do something with it. Don't just listen for fun. I don't want passive, funsy listeners. Go do something, make your life better, make your relationships better, make your mindset better, make your business better. Go do something, take action. I love it, Dr. Allen. Thank you again. And we'll see you on the next episode of Harmonious at Lunch.
Another episode of Harmonious at Lunch in the books. I hope this episode made you think and you grabbed some actionable ideas to propel your business. Don't forget to like, Comment your takeaways and subscribe wherever you're listening so we can help more entrepreneurs just like you achieve harmony in their life and business. For cutting-edge tools that bring clarity to your people and processes, check out humanoff.com to download our app today. See you next time.